All right, so welcome to another deep dive, everybody.
Hmm.
Today we're taking a look at, we're diving deep into this recent article from
Yeah.
Localays, and it's all about Nezha.
Yeah,
He's, a big deal in Chinese mythology,
definitely. Yeah.
but he's known as this child god, but also as like a really strong warrior.
Yeah.
And that right there, that got me thinking, how does that even work? How do those two, come together in one figure?
Right.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today, this kind of paradoxical, I guess, nature of his
Yeah.
and his epic. I mean, you got to talk about the weapons,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
And we're even going to try and trace back his origins, see where this figure comes from.
Yeah, I think you'll find it really interesting. It's quite a story.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be surprised by some of this stuff.
Definitely.
So I mean, Nezha really defies easy categorization.
Oh, absolutely. He's a protector deity, often invoked for children, but then on the other hand, he's also this rebellious figure.
Yeah.
He challenges authority.
Yeah, and the article mentions these titles: Marshal of the Central Altar, Third Lotus Prince. I mean, that's
Not your average child god, right?
not exactly what comes to mind
Right.
when you think of, a child god.
Yeah. So how does that play into how he's depicted?
Right. Good question.
Well, you rarely see him depicted as anything but a youth.
Oh, interesting.
So you got to picture a kid, usually with those warrior buns, sometimes even with 3 heads
Wow.
and 6 arms.
Okay, multiple heads and arms, warrior buns. I'm picturing this. Yeah.
It's quite an image. He's even got this leopard skin pouch, a gift from his mentor, that holds 5 incredibly potent weapons.
Wait, hold on. So we've got, multiple heads and arms, the warrior buns, and now weapons too.
Oh, yeah.
That's serious firepower. What kind of kid, walks around with that?
Right. Well, they're called the Wu Bao, or
Oh.
5 treasures.
5 treasures. So
And each one is totally unique. So, for example, there's this, classic fire-tipped spear
very classic.
with this is a detail that always stuck with me, a red tuft of fur right below the tip.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the universal ring,
Okay, universal ring.
or Kan Kun Kwan.
Okay.
It's a name that links to the Taoist idea of encompassing all universes.
Wow.
It can change size, and it's said to be, incredibly lethal.
So wait, a shape-shifting, universe-encompassing ring.
Exactly.
That sounds like something way more than just a weapon, right?
It's almost symbolic.
Yeah, definitely.
It represents something bigger.
Okay, so we've got 2 down. What about the other 3 treasures?
Okay, so there's the golden brick.
Golden brick. Okay.
Pretty straightforward, it's powerful, evokes those classic weapon images.
I can picture that, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the red armillary sash, which, at first glance, it might just seem like clothing.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that.
Oh, okay.
You can use it to actually, immobilize enemies,
Oh, yeah.
and it regenerates.
So stylish and practical. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to hear about this last one.
The wind fire wheels.
Okay, wind fire wheels.
Imagine one wheel billowing wind, the other spewing fire. Although a lot of depictions just show both on fire.
Yeah, both on fire. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And these, they let Nezha travel super fast, zipping between heaven and earth.
Oh, wow. Those sound like the ultimate, ride. I mean, can you imagine?
It'd be pretty epic.
Yeah. But wait, the article mentioned another weapon, like a 6th one.
Oh, right.
What's the deal with that?
Right. This one's more like a secret weapon lent by his mentor for, when things get really serious.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
called the 9 Dragons Holy Fire Cover.
9 Dragons Holy Fire Cover.
Yeah. Picture 9 dragons trapped inside,
Oh, wow.
breathing this true fire of samadhi.
True fire of samadhi, so intense.
Right. It's powerful enough to hurt even, immortals and demons.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
True fire of samadhi. So what is samadhi?
Right. Yeah.
In this context, what makes this fire so special?
So, samadhi, in Buddhist thought, is a state of deep meditative concentration.
Okay.
It's about reaching, a higher level of consciousness.
Right.
And this true fire is thought to be imbued with that power. So it's not just physical fire, it's spiritual fire.
Oh, I see.
Capable of burning away illusions.
Wow.
And even harming, those who are usually invulnerable.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Really?
Weaponized enlightenment.
Exactly.
So no wonder it can even hurt immortals. I'm getting this now.
Yeah. And there's this story about Nezha using it against this powerful opponent called Lady Earthflow,
Okay.
who wouldn't normally be fazed by ordinary attacks.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm convinced. Nezha's not someone you want to mess with.
He's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. But I also thought it was really interesting the article brought up this connection to Hindu mythology.
Yeah.
which is, you know, surprising, right? Because Nez is a Chinese deity.
Right, he is. But when you start looking deeper, it's really fascinating.
So how did these two traditions, how did they, like, intersect?
Yeah. Well, scholars believe Nezha's origins might actually lie in Tiduyo figures.
Wait, two?
Two figures from Hindu mythology.
Wow.
Nala Kubar and Krishna.
Nala, Kubar, and Krishna. Okay,
Yeah.
two figures. So how does that even work?
Right. So with Nala Kubar, it's about the name. His original Sanskrit name, through various translations, adaptations, and Chinese Buddhist texts, eventually became shortened to Nezha.
Oh, wow.
It's quite a journey.
So his name is a journey in itself,
It really is.
traveling across cultures and languages.
Yeah. And then with Krishna,
Okay, what about Krishna?
the link there is more about their deeds. Both Nezha and Krishna are known for defeating giant serpents. Nezha takes down Ao Bing,
Okay.
while Krishna defeats the serpent Kalia.
So similar names and similar, you know, these heroic deeds. I can see the connection.
Right, exactly.
So is there anything else that ties Nezha to Hindu mythology?
So there's this 10th century Buddhist sutra
Okay.
called the Nana,
Nana. Okay.
which some believe actually combines both Nala Kubar and Krishna into a single figure.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's amazing. And it gets even more interesting.
More interesting. Okay, lay it on me.
When you consider Nezha's father, General Li Jing.
Oh, okay, so now his dad's in the mix too.
Right.
This is getting complex.
It is.
Okay, so remind me. Nala Kubar's father is?
Kubera.
Kubera, okay.
And in the Buddhist pantheon, Kubera gets combined with this heavenly king Vaisravana. And this heavenly king is linked to Li Jing,
Lei Jing, okay.
specifically through his title of pagoda-bearing heavenly king.
Pagoda-bearing heavenly king. Wow, that is a mouthful.
It is, right.
So can you explain the significance of that title? Particularly the pagoda part.
Okay, well, pagodas are super important in Buddhist imagery.
Okay.
They symbolize enlightenment, wisdom, the Buddhist teachings.
I see.
So for Li Jing to have this title, it suggests a connection to those ideas, even if he himself isn't a Buddhist figure.
Yeah.
It adds like a layer of complexity to his character and to his relationship with Nezha, who, you know, we've seen has connections to Buddhism as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Okay, so we're seeing Nezha isn't just like a product of one culture, one set of beliefs.
Right.
He's like this blend of different influences,
Exactly.
which I think just makes him even more fascinating.
It really does.
But we've talked about, you know, who he might be based on.
Yeah.
What about his actual story? Like his exploits? Where can we learn more about that?
Well, the two main sources for his origin story are, you know, the Investiture of the Gods, which leans toward Taoist beliefs, and Journey to the West.
Okay, so two different versions.
Exactly. Both have like super fascinating details about his birth, his battles, his relationship with his father.
Oh, I love a good father-son drama. All right, let's start with Investiture of the Gods. What are some of the key points from that version?
Okay, so first of all, his birth is anything but ordinary.
Okay.
His mother, Lady Yin, is pregnant for 3 years and 6 months.
3 years and 6 months? Wow.
Yeah, talk about a long pregnancy.
That's a huge pregnancy.
And Nezha is born not as a baby, but as a ball of flesh.
A ball of flesh. Okay, that's
Yeah.
different. It is. And so his father, Li Jing, thinking it's some kind of demon, strikes the ball with his sword.
Oh, no.
And out pops a fully grown Nezha, able to walk and talk.
So he makes quite an entrance.
Right. Talk about a dramatic entrance.
Yeah.
So what happens to this, you know, unusual child?
Yeah, what happens next?
Well, he gets taken on as a student by the immortal Tai Zenrin.
Okay.
But then a terrible flood hits the kingdom, and people start making offerings to the East Sea Dragon King,
Okay.
Guang,
Guam, okay.
to try to get him to stop it.
Yeah.
But Guang, being, well, you know, a dragon king, he demands a boy, a girl, as sacrifices.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Human sacrifice. I have a bad feeling about this.
It doesn't end well. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And so Nezha, naturally, he's upset and he tries to, like, reason with the Dragon King.
Yeah, but I have a feeling a dragon king is not really big on reasoning.
Not really his style, no.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go well. And Nezha decides to take matters into his own hands and fight the Dragon King himself.
All right, now this is the warrior child we've been hearing about.
Yeah.
So does he actually fight the Dragon King one-on-one?
Well, not exactly. The Dragon King sends his third son, Ao Bing, to deal with Nezha.
Okay.
But Nezha, you know, empowered by his mentor and, let's be honest, probably some serious anger issues.
Yeah, probably.
He slays the young serpent.
Wow, he kills the Dragon King's son. That's got to have some consequences.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The Dragon King is furious, reports Nezha to the Jade Emperor.
Oh, no?
And faced with this, Nezha decides to atone for his actions.
Okay.
But in a pretty drastic way.
Oh, no. Okay, what does he do?
He sacrifices himself by disemboweling himself.
Well, disemboweling himself. That seems, I mean, even for a deity, that seems extreme.
It is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's seen as an act of repaying his parents for all the trouble he's caused.
Oh.
It's basically saying, sorry for disrespecting heaven, causing all this chaos. I'm giving you back my flesh and bones.
Oh, wow.
It's a pretty profound display of filial piety.
Yeah, it is.
Even if it's, gruesome.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right.
So what happens to Nezha after he, disembowels himself?
Well, he becomes a wandering spirit.
Oh, okay.
But then he appears to his mother in a dream.
Okay.
And asks her to build a temple dedicated to him.
Okay.
So his spirit can find peace. And Lady Yin, being a loving mother, does exactly that.
Oh, it's kind of sweet, right?
Yeah.
So problem solved. Everyone's happy.
Not quite. Li Jing is furious.
Oh, no. What now?
When he hears about the temple, he sees it as, disrespectful considering all the trouble Nezha caused while he was alive.
Yeah.
So in a fit of rage, he destroys the temple.
Talk about a father-son feud. So this is where the real conflict between them starts.
This is it. Yeah, Li Jing's actions completely ignite that conflict.
So what happens to Nezha? Is he just stuck as a wandering spirit?
Well, his mentor, Tai Zenren, comes to the rescue again.
Oh.
He crafts a new body for Nezha.
Oh, wow.
Out of lotus flowers, hence the title Third Lotus Prince.
Oh, I see.
Bringing him back to life. And this time, Nezha is out for revenge against his father.
Revenge plot. Okay, things are getting exciting now. So he's got this new body, a serious grudge. What happens next?
This is when he receives his 5 treasures from Tai Zenren.
Oh.
The fire-tipped spear, the wind fire wheels, the rest.
He's got it all now.
Right. He's fully equipped. And he doesn't hold back. He even ends up fighting his second brother.
His own brother.
Musa. Okay.
In his quest for vengeance.
Wow, he's serious. Is there any stopping him at this point?
Eventually, a powerful deity steps in and forces Nezha to submit to his father.
Oh, wow. But the tension remains. It's not a clean resolution.
Okay, so that's the Investiture of the Gods version.
Yeah.
What about Journey to the West? How does Nezha's story, how's it different in that telling?
It's a similar storyline, but with some interesting twists. This version actually explains where Nezha's name comes from.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So he's born with the characters for Nza right on his palms. Pretty clear sign of destiny.
Wow, that's so cool. His name was literally written on him from the beginning.
Right. And what about his personality? Is he similar to the Nezha from Investiture of the Gods?
Yeah, is he?
Well, he's definitely portrayed as more reckless in Journey to the West.
Okay, even more reckless.
Yeah, he causes chaos in the Eastern Ocean, slays Ao Bing again, and he even burns Lady Earthflow in a fire. There's a real sense of wildness and defiance about him in this version.
It sounds like this Nezha is even more rebellious. How does his father react to all this mayhem?
Yeah, Li Jing is, to put it mildly, not pleased.
Oh,
And Nezha, in a moment of defiance, returns his flesh and bone to his parents.
Oh, right, the whole giving back your flesh and bones thing again.
Right, but this time it's not about self-sacrifice.
It's not.
No, it's more like a big screw you to his dad.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, it's an act of rebellion,
Ouch.
rejection of his family, their expectations. It's a much more, spiteful, angry gesture in this version.
So how does he come back from that? I mean, not even a magical lotus flower can fix that level of family drama, right?
Well, in this version, it's not his mentor who revives him, but the Buddha himself.
Oh, wow.
So the Buddha creates a new body for Nezha out of lotus flowers, and this time he ends up with even greater, godlike abilities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's back, he's more powerful than ever, and I'm guessing still wants revenge against his dad.
I was going to say, yeah.
You bet. Li Jing knows he can't stop Nezha on his own, so he begs the Buddha for help.
Okay.
The Buddha, being the wise figure that he is, gives Nezha a golden pagoda
Okay.
filled with Buddha statues and tells him to see them as his father.
Wow, that's an interesting solution.
It is, right.
So does it work? Does Nezha finally let go of his anger?
It does. This act finally brings an end to their feud.
Wow.
And it also explains how Li Jing gets that pagoda-bearing Heavenly King title we were talking about.
Right. So the pagoda represents both Li Jing's connection to, Buddhist principles,
Right.
and the resolution of his conflict with Nezha.
Exactly. It ties everything together.
That's so cool. All that layered meaning.
Yeah.
Man, these origin stories, I mean, they're wild.
They are, aren't they?
But it's amazing all the depth there is to this child god figure.
Yeah.
But, it's not all just ancient myths, right? I
Yeah.
feel like Nezha pops up in other places, too.
Absolutely. Nezha's influence extends beyond those traditional tales. Literature, TV shows, movies.
Oh, yeah. And, even modern slang, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's fascinating how these ancient figures kind of creep into our everyday lives.
Oh, for sure. Like in Cantonese slang, they call segways and hoverboards wind fire wheels.
Way, really?
Yeah. A direct reference to Nez's ability to, travel swiftly.
Right.
On those fiery wheels.
That's so awesome. It's like this little piece of ancient mythology just zipping around in our modern world.
It really is.
That's so cool. What about literature? Where else can we find Nezha?
Well, obviously, he's central to Investiture of the Gods and Journey to the West.
Yeah.
But he also makes appearances in R.F. Kuang's fantasy series, The Poppy War.
Okay.
And then when it comes to TV shows and films, there's the 2001 series Gods of Honor, the 2020 animated film Legend of Nezha.
So he's like a pop culture icon at this point.
He really is.
And speaking of icons, isn't he still worshipped in Chinese folk religion?
You're absolutely right. Nezha is definitely not a forgotten deity.
Okay, I'm seeing a whole other deep dive waiting to happen here.
Right.
Okay, so where are these temples? How do people worship him? Give me all the details.
Okay, let's start with the celebrations.
Okay.
So dates actually vary by region.
Okay.
But his birthday is often celebrated on the 9th day of the 9th lunar month.
Okay.
Which also happens to be the Chungyang festival.
So his birthday is like tied into an existing festival.
It is, but it gets even more complex.
More complex. All right, tell me more.
In some places, like Guangdong and Hong Kong, his birthday is celebrated on the 18th day of the 5th lunar month.
Okay.
Which is also Bodhi Day, the day the Buddha achieved enlightenment.
Wait, so Nezha's connected to Buddhism too?
In some interpretations, yeah. He's considered a disciple of Buddha in some versions.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so those regions celebrate him on Buddha's birthday.
Okay, that's so interesting. So much going on here. It seems like every time we uncover one layer of Nezha's story, we find like another one underneath.
It's true.
I think we need a whole separate deep dive just to cover his celebration dates.
We probably could.
But for now, let's get back to those temples. Where can people go to pay their respects to the Third Lotus Prince?
So there are Nezha temples all over China.
Okay.
And even in Macau. There's one right behind the ruins of St. Paul's, which is a pretty striking image.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. But in Hong Kong, the most well-known is the Sam Tai Tse and Pak Tai Temple in Sham Shui Po.
Sam Tai Tse and Pak Tai Temple.
Yeah.
Okay, what's so special about that particular temple?
It's a popular spot for parents to pray for their children's good health.
Oh, okay.
You'll also find professional drivers in the region praying to Nezha for safe and speedy travels.
Right.
Often displaying like a figurine of him in their cars.
That's such a great connection back to the windfire wheels.
It really is, yeah.
So what about offerings? What's appropriate to bring when you're paying your respects?
Well, generally any kind of offering is acceptable. Fruits, meat,
okay,
you name it.
But there's an exception, right?
There is one interesting exception. Duck meat is avoided.
Duck meat. Okay, why is that? Is there some kind of mythological duck Nezha rivalry I'm not aware of?
Not exactly a rivalry. It's actually quite touching. Some stories say that ducks protected Nezha's remains after he disemboweled himself.
Oh, wow. I would never have guessed that.
So they're considered sacred to him.
So no duck meat. Noted.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Well, remember, he is a child god.
Right.
So it's not surprising that he has a bit of a sweet tooth.
I like that.
Candies are always a good choice when visiting his temples.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Makes him seem so much more relatable, than some of the other more serious deities.
There's a real charm to Nezha, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
He's this powerful warrior, a protector, a rebel, but also still a child at heart.
It really is a fascinating blend, and that's, I think, what makes him so intriguing.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to stop for today.
Yeah, let's take a break, and we'll come back and talk about more.
More Nezha.
Yeah, more Nezha.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that blend that really makes him such an enduring figure, He embodies strength and vulnerability, rebellion, and filial piety all at the same time.
It makes me wonder, are those seemingly contradictory aspects intentional? Like, is there, like, a deeper meaning behind that child warrior paradox?
That's a great question. And I think it speaks to a broader theme in Chinese culture.
Go.
This idea that strength and innocence, power and playfulness, they're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
Nezha embodies that tension so beautifully.
Yeah, it's almost like he represents this yearning for a kind of, like, pure, unadulterated power.
Mm-hmm.
A power that, like, hasn't been corrupted by the world yet.
Exactly. And that's such a powerful concept.
Yeah.
Especially in a culture that values both youthful energy, and respect for tradition.
Yeah.
Nezha, he embodies both of those values,
Yeah.
even when they seem to be in conflict.
And his weapons, too. They're not just, like, tools of destruction.
Right.
They feel almost symbolic, like extensions of his personality.
I agree. The wind fire wheels, for example, with their speed and destructive force, could represent Nezha's untamed spirit.
Okay, yeah.
His ability to transcend boundaries, defy expectations.
And the universal ring, with its connection to, like, encompassing all universes, could suggest this boundless ambition.
Right.
Or even, like, a yearning for control over his own destiny.
That's a really interesting interpretation. It's like he's trying to grasp the totality of existence.
Wow.
To assert his own will upon the cosmos, but then you have the golden brick.
Right.
Which feels much more grounded, more straightforward, almost like a symbol of his raw, unyielding strength.
It's interesting how each weapon adds another layer to his character.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just cool gadgets.
They're not, right?
They're like reflections of his inner world.
Exactly.
But what about his connection to Hindu mythology? We touched on that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, like, curious to hear more about what you think that says about Nezha's story.
I think it highlights the interconnectedness of cultures, the way stories travel and evolve over time.
Yeah.
It challenges this idea that cultures are isolated.
Right.
That myths are, born in one place and stay there.
Right.
When in reality, it's much more fluid than that.
So you're saying that, like, even ancient stories are products of exchange.
Absolutely.
Of, like, borrowing, blending different traditions.
Yeah, and Nezha, with his Hindu roots and Chinese identity, is a perfect example of that.
He embodies that cultural fusion, And it reminds us that these stories aren't static.
Mm-hmm.
They change, they adapt, they absorb new meanings as they, like, travel through time and across cultures.
Exactly.
Speaking of traveling through time, we've talked about his origins, his weapons, his complicated family dynamics.
Right.
But, like, what about his modern relevance?
Yeah.
Why do we still care about this child god centuries later?
I think it's because his story speaks to something universal, something that transcends time and culture. It's a story about rebellion, about finding your own path, even when it means going against expectations.
And it's about family, right?
Yeah.
The complexities of, like, parent-child relationships.
Oh, for sure.
The struggles with, like, filial piety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And expectation.
Nezha's story really highlights the challenges of finding your own identity within the context of family and tradition.
And that's something, that we all grapple with, no matter what culture we come from.
Exactly.
Plus, let's be honest, he's just a cool character.
He is.
I mean, the wind fire wheels, the rebellious attitude, the epic battles.
Oh, yeah.
It's all very exciting.
He's definitely got that pop culture appeal.
Yeah.
And that's part of what keeps him relevant. He shows up in movies, TV shows, books.
Yeah, even our slang.
Right?
As we talked about.
Yeah.
He's woven into the fabric of our modern world.
He really is.
So, what do you think it is about Nezha that continues to resonate with audiences today? Why do you think he's remained such a popular and enduring figure?
I think it's because his story speaks to those deeper human desires, the desire for freedom, the urge to rebel against authority, the yearning to carve out your own path in the world.
He's the ultimate underdog, right?
He is.
This child who takes on the establishment, who fights for what he believes in, even when the odds are, like, totally stacked against him.
Exactly. And I think that resonates with people, especially in a world that often feels, overwhelming and restrictive.
Right, yeah.
Nezha reminds us that it's okay to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
To fight for what we believe in, even if it means causing a little chaos along the way.
And even if it means facing off against, like, a dragon king or two.
Right. He never backs down from a challenge.
Right.
And that's inspiring, even if his methods are sometimes a bit,
a little extreme.
Extreme, yeah.
Speaking of extreme, I can't help but wonder.
Yeah.
If Nezha were alive today, how would he navigate, like, our modern world? What kind of technology or invention do you think he would gravitate towards?
Ooh, that's a fun question. He'd definitely be drawn to something fast, something innovative, something that embodies his rebellious spirit.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of personalized drone.
Okay.
Or even a teleportation device.
Oh, cool. I like that. Teleportation, that's good. What do you think?
What about you?
I'm seeing him, like, rocketing around on a souped-up hoverboard.
Yeah.
Leaving a trail of, like, rainbow fire in his wake.
Oh, I love it.
She'd definitely be an early adopter.
For sure.
Always pushing the boundaries of, like, what's possible.
And can you imagine the chaos he could cause with, like, access to the internet?
Oh, my God.
He'd be a master of memes.
Yeah.
A social media superstar, maybe even a hacker extraordinaire.
But always with, like, a mischievous twinkle in his eye.
Of course.
Yeah.
Neza's a trickster at heart.
Yeah, he is.
He loves to shake things up, to challenge expectations.
It's fun to imagine, isn't it? How these ancient figures might navigate our modern world.
It really is.
It makes you realize that, even though the world has changed so much, the human experience, with all its complexities and contradictions, it remains remarkably consistent.
And that's what makes these myths so timeless and enduring.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but I hope our listeners feel like they've gained a deeper appreciation for Nezha.
I hope so, too.
This child god who's like so much more than meets the eye.
I agree.
As always, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Share your thoughts on Nezha's modern-day wind fire wheels
Right.
on our social media channels.
Yeah.
We can't wait to see what you come up with.
And until next time.
Yeah.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. It really is. It's one of the most fascinating aspects of his story, right? This clash between a rebellious son who challenges authority and a father who struggles to control him. It's this battle of wills, this clash of expectations, and ultimately like a journey towards some kind of understanding.
And it's all tied into those, those broader themes of filial piety and rebellion that are so important in Chinese culture. Nezha embodies both.
He does.
He's a devoted son who, sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
But he's also this defiant rebel.
Yeah.
Who pushes back against his father at every turn.
It's that tension, that duality that makes him so compelling, and it raises some really interesting questions about the nature of filial piety, right? Is it about blind obedience? Or is there room for challenging your parents, even defying them, but still within the bounds of that tradition?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was wondering about that myself.
Yeah.
In Western cultures, we tend to view like rebellion and filial piety as opposites. But Nezha's story suggests that maybe it's not so black and white.
Exactly. I think Nezha's rebellion can actually be seen as a form of filial piety in a way.
Okay.
He's not rejecting his family entirely. He's trying to redefine his place within it.
Okay.
He's fighting for the right to be his own person, even if it means challenging his father's authority.
It's like he's saying, I can honor my family and forge my own path.
Exactly.
He's not choosing one over the other. He's trying to find a way to balance both.
And that's a struggle that many people can relate to.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if they haven't faced down a dragon king or, been reborn from a lotus flower.
Right.
It's that universal theme of finding your own identity within the context of family and tradition that gives Nezha's story such lasting power.
It makes me think about all the different ways we interpret these ancient myths. Like on the surface, Nezha's story is this wild adventure with magic and battles.
Right.
But underneath, it's a reflection of our own human experiences, our own struggles with identity, with belonging.
Exactly. And I think that's why these stories continue to resonate with us centuries later.
Yeah.
They offer us a different lens through which to view our own lives.
Right.
Our own relationships, our own challenges.
So for our listeners who are, maybe just discovering Nezha, what do you think is the most important thing to remember about him? What's the key takeaway from his story?
I think it's this. Nezha's story is a reminder that even ancient myths can offer us valuable insights into the human experience.
I like that.
He's a symbol of rebellion, a protector, a cultural icon.
Right.
And most importantly, a reflection of our own struggles and triumphs.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Nezha. We've covered a lot of ground, from his surprising origins to his, epic weapons, his complex family dynamics, and his, enduring legacy.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has.
And I hope our listeners have enjoyed it as much as we have.
I hope so, too.
Yeah.
As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any, insights, interpretations about Nezha's story.
Yeah, share them.
Share them with us on our social media channels.
And if Nezha were alive today, what modern tech would he be using as his windfire wheels?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let us know your ideas.
Yes.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
See ya.